When medicines like Ozempic and Mounjaro became global blockbusters, investors naturally focused on the companies making the drugs. But what if an important opportunity was hidden not inside the medicines but in something else? In this video, we will look at how the trend to treat type 2 diabetes and weight loss through these medicines brought a major advantage to a plastic component manufacturing business. This is a case study of Shaily Engineering Plastics Ltd. Shaily Engineering was founded in 1987 by Mahendra Sanghvi, a chemical engineer who studied in the US and came back to Gujarat to start an injection molding business. For more than 3 decades, Shaily did exactly what hundreds of other plastic manufacturers do. That is, it largely operated as a contract manufacturer. Let's understand the process of contract manufacturing quickly. The customer designs the plastic components and specifies its materials, dimensions and performance requirements. Then the contract manufacturers like Shaily develop the molds, establish the manufacturing process and produce that component. So in effect, what is happening is the customer owns the product design and controls the end market, and the contract manufacturer makes money by manufacturing that product accurately, cheaply and on time. This mechanism can create a durable relationship between the customer and a contract manufacturer, but the bargaining power still sits mainly with the customer. But still, Shaily tried to differentiate itself from other contract manufacturers in 2 different ways. Firstly, company's strategy is to choose only ultra high precision components to manufacture. This requires strict climate controlled clean rooms, advanced equipments and tooling machines and high quality inspection, which makes this space less crowded. And secondly, company increased its competence through backward integration of producing its own molds, which enhanced quality control, moderated cost and shrank the product turnaround time. These 2 things strengthened the company's value proposition. If we look at the historical financial performance of Shaily, the economics of the business were clearly visible. Pre-tax ROC of the business was 18% in FY16, which increased to 20% in FY18 but then decreased to 16% in FY20. The ROC suggests that the business is running decently, generating returns above the cost of capital. But if we look at the ROC from FY20 onwards, the ROC is declining and it went even below the cost of capital. So the question is, why did the returns of the business suddenly collapse? Well, the clear-cut answer is because company was building capacity ahead of the revenue. It was investing in capacities for injection molding, carbon steel furniture and healthcare sector. Because these capacities were underutilized, the ROC of the business declined. But this is what makes the company interesting. Quietly in the background, Shaily was doing something very different from one corner of its business. Around 2018, company started manufacturing insulin pens for their pharma clients. Insulin pens are the medical devices used directly by the end consumer with diabetes to inject insulin. But in 2021, company did something very few manufacturers ever attempt to do. The company set up a dedicated subsidiary in the UK for research and IP development, and it started developing its own patented insulin pens. Let's understand the very basic of these devices. Imagine that a car company develops one basic car chassis. It can then use that chassis to make either a small family car or a taxi or a delivery vehicle. So the basic engineering remains the same, but a final vehicle is customized for its purpose. Similar is the Shaily's injection pen platform. It is a basic pre-developed device architecture. When a pharma company brings its medicine, Shaily adapts the platform for that medicine's dose, injection force and required user experience. meaning a pen must convert the user's movement into a precise quantity of medicine. The device must control the injection force, give user the clear visual or audio feedback, and keep performing consistently across thousands or millions of units. Between FY21 and FY24, this subsidiary filed and developed 7 different patented devices like protein for insulin, Neo for GLP-1 drugs, and auto injectors called Toby and Tristan. This strategy migrated Shaily Engineering from ordinary contract manufacturer to complete end-to-end solution provider for its customers. This migration happened in 3 different stages. Firstly, after FY20, Shaily started building manufacturing capacity and used it to build initial credibility in the medical devices. It developed clean room production, automated assembly lines, precision tooling, and quality systems. Secondly, in 2021, it created a design and research center in UK and developed its own patented insulin pens. And thirdly, it tried to monetize the platform across the entire development cycle. Owning the IP doesn't mean the money starts flowing immediately. There is a long runway before a single pen even gets commercialized. Understanding this runway is exactly what separates a real investor from someone just chasing a hot story. It starts with what management calls a platform access fee. The pharma company pays Shaily just to get access to the device platform, along with help building its regulatory dossier and running validation and testing protocols. This alone can take months. Then comes design verification phase, which essentially proves that the pen works exactly the way it is supposed to every single time. After that comes something called exhibit batches, which are small production runs used purely for the regulatory filings. Only after this is done, and only after the customer's drug itself completes its own regulatory filing and gets approval, can a large-scale commercial supply begins. This is exactly why the journey looks so slow from the outside. Shaily had already sold 11 million pens back in FY23 and was booking healthcare revenue even then. But as late as August 2025, investors were still asking a very basic question: when will the first genuinely company-owned IP product actually hit the commercial market? This commercialization proof became clearer only in FY26. In 2026 came the tailwind, the GLP-1 drug boom. Drugs like Ozempic and Mounjaro exploded globally, and every single one of them is delivered through a precision injector platform. As the patent on semaglutide, which is an active ingredient used to make GLP-1 drugs, started expiring in India, Brazil, and Canada, generic drug makers everywhere needed a pen to deliver their version of drug, and they needed it fast. Shaily already had the platform ready with them, and so they were the solution. The healthcare segment, which was just 100 crores of the consolidated business in FY24, exploded to 400 crores in FY26. The operating margins, which was just 10% in FY24, increased to 23% in FY26. And that is why GLP-1 drug trend was a major beneficiary to Shaily Engineering Plastics Ltd. Now let us look at how owning the design and IP changes the economics of the business. Firstly, when Shaily just molded a pen to someone else's design, it earned a manufacturing margin. But when Shaily owns the platform, the economics change completely. It now earns money from an upfront development fee, small exhibit batches, and also a long-term manufacturing contract once the drug is approved. Secondly, once a pharma company runs its clinical trials using Shaily's pens and files that exact device with the regulator, The pen literally becomes part of the approved drug. If the pharma company wants to switch to a different pen supplier later, it cannot just swap it out like changing a vendor for packaging boxes. It would need fresh trials, fresh regulatory filings, and years of delay. This generates a switching cost to the customer. And thirdly, competition in this space is also small. Globally, only a handful of companies can make these precision pens at scale. And Shaily is one of the very few Indian players who has built genuine platform IP in this space. These three things simply changed the economics of the company. And this brings me to the key investing concept that can be learned from this case study. The investing concept is moving up the value chain from execution to ownership. The two manufacturers can look identical from outside, that is, same factory and same machines, but they deserve completely different valuations depending on just one single factor. Does the company simply execute someone else's design, or does it own the intellectual property behind it? That is the difference between a contract manufacturer and a platform company. A contract manufacturer competes on price, but a platform company competes on lock-in, because switching the suppliers is very painful and expensive for the customers. And that is why Shaily's return on capital jumped from an ordinary mid-teens to 36% within just few years. And this brings me to the end of this case study. I hope this was valuable to you. If this video was valuable, please like this video and subscribe to this channel. Thank you so much for watching.